there are football debates. And then there are football obsessions. Right now in Brazil, one question has become impossible to escape. How can one of the most talked about young talents in world football struggle to secure a consistent place in the national team? This isn't some unknown prospect waiting for his opportunity. This is a player who arrived carrying expectations most professionals never experience in an entire career. A teenager whose transfer made global headlines. A player compared to legends before he'd even finished developing. A footballer many supporters believe could define Brazil's future. And yet, despite all the excitement surrounding him, his role for the national team remains one of the most controversial topics in Brazilian football. So what exactly is going on? And why does a player who seems destined for stardom continue to divide opinion at the highest level? Let's unpack the story. Every generation produces a few special talents. Players who seem destined for greatness long before they reach adulthood. This was one of those cases. Before Europe came calling, he was already becoming one of the biggest stories in South American football. Goals arrived at an astonishing rate. Records started falling. Defenders, much older and more experienced, struggled to contain him. The hype wasn't manufactured. The performances were real. Every week seemed to produce another highlight, another headline, another reminder that Brazil may have discovered something extraordinary. Soon, one of the biggest clubs in world football decided they had seen enough. They moved early, very early. The message was clear. This wasn't a player for the future. This was a player they believed could become one of the faces of football itself. And that's where things became complicated. Because in football, hype is a gift. But it's also a burden. Fans love discovering young talent. What they don't always love is being told who the next superstar will be. The bigger the hype becomes, the more resistance eventually follows. Every mistake gets magnified. Every poor performance becomes evidence. Every setback becomes a debate. And when expectations reach impossible levels, reality often struggles to keep up. That's exactly what happened. The narrative surrounding this young star stopped being about development. It became about validation. People weren't simply watching him play anymore. They were constantly asking whether he was worth the hype, whether he was overrated, whether the comparisons had gone too far, whether the spotlight had arrived too soon. Suddenly, every match felt like a trial. Football has always had a simple rule. When things go wrong, someone becomes the face of the disappointment. Sometimes it's fair, often it isn't. As Brazil experienced difficult moments in youth competitions and major tournaments, attention naturally shifted toward their most famous young player. Not because he was solely responsible, but because he was the easiest name to discuss. The expectations placed upon him were enormous. Supporters wanted immediate results. Media outlets wanted answers. And every disappointing outcome intensified the conversation. The difficult reality is that young players rarely develop in a straight line. There are breakthroughs. There are setbacks. There are periods where confidence soars, and periods where everything feels uncertain. The challenge is surviving those moments under a microscope. This is where the story becomes truly fascinating. Because the debate is no longer about talent. Almost everyone agrees on the talent. The debate is about opportunity. Supporters see a player capable of changing games. They see creativity, fearlessness, unpredictability, the kind of qualities Brazil has traditionally celebrated. Yet when team sheets are announced, many fans find themselves asking the same question. Why isn't he playing more? The answers depend entirely on who you ask. Some believe patience is necessary. Others believe the national team is moving too cautiously. Some argue experienced players deserve priority. Others argue the future should start now. It's one of those debates where every side feels convinced they're right, and that's why it refuses to disappear. Then came a decision that shocked many observers. Most young footballers dream of reaching the top. Very few willingly step away from it. Yet that's exactly what happened. Rather than following the path everyone expected, he chose a different challenge, a different environment, a different opportunity. It was a risk, the kind of decision that can define a career. And almost immediately, it began paying off. Goals arrived, confidence returned, attention followed. Once again, people were talking about performances rather than potential. For a young player, that's often the most important step. Potential creates headlines. Performance creates respect. At this point, there are countless theories. Some focus on tactics. Others point toward experience. Some believe chemistry plays a role. Others see larger political or organizational factors at work. The truth? Very few people outside the dressing room actually know. Football fans love simple explanations. But reality is usually far more complicated. Managers make decisions based on dozens of factors. Training sessions, team balance, player relationships, fitness, mentality, long-term planning. The public only sees a small part of the picture. That doesn't stop speculation, of course. And in Brazil, speculation has become a national pastime. Because when a player this talented spends time on the bench, people naturally start searching for answers. Let's settle the debate. If you were managing Brazil tomorrow, what would you do? Would you build around experienced stars who have already proven themselves? Or would you hand the keys to the next generation and let them grow through the pressure? Pause for a second and drop your answer in the comments. I'm curious where football fans stand on this one. Perhaps the most important thing to remember is this. Playing for Brazil is different. The expectations are different. The scrutiny is different. The standards are different. Every player who wears that shirt is compared against legends. Not good players, legends. That's an impossible benchmark for almost anyone, especially a teenager. Every touch gets analyzed. Every decision gets questioned. Every mistake becomes front-page news. Some players thrive under that pressure. Others need time. The challenge is figuring out which category someone belongs to before it's too late. Maybe the story isn't really about one player at all. Maybe it's about how football treats young stars. The modern game creates celebrities faster than ever. A teenager can become globally famous overnight. The hype machine never stops. The expectations never slow down. And sometimes we forget that behind the headlines is still a young player learning his craft. The next chapter of this story hasn't been written yet. Maybe he becomes Brazil's next icon. Maybe he develops into a great player without becoming a legend. Maybe the critics are wrong. Maybe the supporters are. Right now, nobody knows. That's what makes it fascinating. Brazil's most intriguing football debate isn't going away anytime soon. The talent is undeniable. The expectations are enormous. And every national team squad announcement adds another chapter to the discussion. What happens next could shape not only one player's future, but perhaps Brazil's as well. Because World Cups aren't won by reputation. They're won by players who seize their moment when it finally arrives. And if this young star gets that opportunity, the entire football world will be watching. So what do you think? Should Brazil be giving their young superstar a bigger role right now? Or are the coaches right to be patient? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the like button. It helps the channel more than you might think. And subscribe for more football documentaries, investigations, and deep dives into the biggest stories in the game. Because sometimes the most fascinating battles in football happen far away from the pitch.